Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to have you here again today. If you will, get your Bible, and if you're able, and look with me in the third chapter of Proverbs. We'll be starting in verse 13 today. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 13. And what we have here is the father, the author, is going to stop for a moment and brag on wisdom and talk about wisdom itself. He's already done a lot of that in the first two and a half chapters, but I can only uh, imagine as a father myself, and having been young once upon a time, um, know the importance of, and we've talked about this, of repeating what you say to a young person. Probably every one of us has experienced that. If you're a parent, of having to tell your children the same thing over and over. And so he's going to pause for a minute and go back again and talk about the importance, the goodness of wisdom, and the importance of pursuing godly wisdom. Verses uh, 13 through 20 are going to be that repetition. And so wisdom will be talked about here in these verses. In verse 13, he reminds his son of the value of wisdom. And he says, happy is the man that finds wisdom, the man that getteth understanding. The reason wisdom is so valuable, he says, is because that's what it takes to make a man happy. Uh, we, many young people today, and many of them, even with the encouragement of their parents, seek happiness. But what the author says here is find wisdom, and happiness will be the automatic result. Lack wisdom, and if you don't have wisdom, typically misery is the result. And so he's stressing to the son the importance of the pursuit of wisdom above the pursuit of happiness. He wants his son to be happy, but he wants him to understand that that happiness only comes from finding and living in godly wisdom. And he continues, he says, for the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, the gain thereof than fine gold, more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. And what it's pretty straightforward what he's saying here. He says there's nothing that compares to wisdom. If you don't have wisdom and you have all the gold, the silver, the rubies of the world, you probably won't be smart enough to hang on to them. Reminds me of a phrase I've heard. We have all these big lottery jackpots that we see ever so often. That if a man's not smart enough to earn a million, make a million, he's not smart enough to keep a million. And statistics bear that out. Most of the big jackpot winners, statistics tell us, are back broke within about 5 years. And so he says this wisdom is far more valuable than all of these things. Silver, in particular, may or was no may too. Silver was more valuable at that time than even gold. That was the primary merchandise or primary um, method they used in the marketplace. Gold has always been gold, and rubies, valuable jewels. He says, you know, you can have all of those. He says, but wisdom is more precious. And none of these things can't be compared. He said, if I have my preference for you, son, I would rather you have wisdom than all the riches of the world, because the wisdom will be far more valuable to you. You will be far better off in finding wisdom, because length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. And notice what he says. He says, silver and gold and rubies can't compare to wisdom. Better to have wisdom. And then he says, but if you have wisdom, in her left hand are riches. Again, he's saying, if all these things, you can have them, but if you don't have wisdom, you won't know how to use them. You won't know what to do with them. But wisdom will bring you length of life and riches beyond the silver, the gold, and the rubies. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. Again, a peaceful life, an enjoyable life that comes from the wisdom of God. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is every one that retaineth her. Again, he's just continuing to stress to him the value of godly wisdom. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath he established the heavens. The value of he says, here's the value of wisdom. It is what God used. God uses wisdom. It's something even God uses. If it's important to God, then it is important to you and I. And by his knowledge, the depths are broken up and the clouds drop down the dew. It is his wisdom, it is his knowledge that established the laws of this world. That the rain falls, then it evaporates and goes back to the clouds, and that cycle. He says God used that wisdom, his wisdom, to establish that. The law of gravity, the laws of thermodynamics, all those things that God has established that govern our world. He says that's what God used. And if God used wisdom, then we need that same wisdom. And he's telling the young man that wisdom is available to you. We have the opportunity the ability to tap into the wisdom of God through the saving grace and through the person of Jesus Christ, through his word that he has given us, that makes life happy. Just to think over the benefits he's listed here: happy, profitable, long, rich, honorable, pleasant, and peaceful. Those are the things that come from obtaining the wisdom of God above the riches of this world. And today, our pursuit, we live in a world that pursues the silver, the gold, and the rubies. It pursues the riches. They're pursuing happiness, and there's nothing wrong with happiness. But he's saying that the way we get that happiness is by discovering and living by the wisdom of God. And as we wrap up this passage this morning, my question for us would be, what are we pursuing? Are we pursuing the riches of this world? Are we pursuing happiness? Notice this passage doesn't say there's anything wrong with those things, but he says to get them, to find them, we find them by first pursuing godly wisdom. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.